Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Average Joe Dividends YouTube channel. Happy Monday. This is portfolio update number 120. And what I do for Mondays is I deposit $100 into this taxable brokerage account, an M1. And then based upon my allocations is where the $100 goes to. We can see that the actual and target for this slice is right where it needs to be, and we are underweighted here with the dividend portfolio, so we are off by 0.8%, and then we're overweight for 12 more dividends because you can see the returns here that this slice has been doing better than the rest. That's why it's overweighted. So the buyers are going to show up here in this slice and dividend portfolio, and I'll leave a link below so you can see what these three slices are and what companies and ETFs that I'm invested in. So we can see just over the past year, we'll just take a look at the return for this portfolio. It's at 28.24%, which is pretty good. It's probably lagging the S&P a tiny bit. It's pretty close, but this portfolio also has a much higher dividend return. It's way over double than what an S&P 500 index pays for a dividend. And just to let you know, this portfolio, this is about 15% of my total net worth. And the largest slice within it is SCHD. And most of my net worth is wrapped up in ETFs like VTI, VU, and VXUS, which is a Vanguard Total International Index. So let's go back to the last 3 months. We'll see how the performance has been. So up 5.73. And then over the last month, over 5%, 5.36. Look at the last week, flat the last week. And then today we're down just a little bit, 0.06%. So essentially been pretty flat over the last week. But I'll take it with the gains that we've had over the last year and month as well. So let's go into the activity log. We're going to see where this $100 went to, and we're going to see what that did to my dividend income going forward. And we'll also look at some historicals too, kind of go back a few years and just track how this portfolio is done, as well as the dividend income too. So we're clicking here in the activity log. We see here's my deposit that I do every Monday morning, $100, and it looks like $99.98 was able to be deployed. And so it's going to be 2 cents that'll be left over for some future buys. And it looks like 4 buys. We'll click there and see what these were. And first up was Hershey's for $18.95. And then Microsoft, this is where the bulk of the $100 went to, and it was $68.70. And then Amgen, $6.67, and then Pepsi, $5.66. And I think Microsoft, this is more of an allocation buy rather than things being down. Actually, Hershey's and Pepsi have kind of been down, the last year or two. It hasn't, I don't want to say they've been flat or down, but they haven't gone up, like especially like a Microsoft or an Nvidia or anything like that. But they paid steady dividends with steady dividend raises. I think Pepsi last raise is 7%, and I believe Hershey's dividend raise last February, I think it was like 15%, something crazy like that. So these are more dividend payers. Microsoft's more of a grower, but I may have changed an allocation in here, and Microsoft is just catching up because Microsoft has certainly not been really going down per se. So we'll click done here. We're going to, in a little bit, see what the effect was of buying these fractional shares. And actually, before I go into it, I want to show you guys the amounts of fractional shares that I bought. So for Hershey's, almost just a little bit over 1/10 of a share. So 0.10125 was a quantity there. We'll go back in here. Then Microsoft is going to be a little sliver out too. So 0.16501 was the fractional for Microsoft. And then Amgen, this is a tiny amount. So yeah, 0.02096 of a share. But we'll see that this does actually move the needle a little bit. I mean, even these little small increments, fractional shares, they do add up. Because if I just did this once a year, of course, it would not have a big effect. But as I'm buying fractional shares of these companies constantly, it does add up. And for Pepsi, 0.03391 was the quantity there. So we're going to see these go up, just a few cents for each of the new dividends. I'm going to click on over to my Google Docs spreadsheet. As always, I leave a link below, so you're welcome to look at this or even copy it and use it as your own and put your own dividend stocks in there if you own a high quantity of them like I do. See, it shows the company, ticker symbol, the current share price. Here's the average share price that I've bought into. You can see with Costco, I've more than doubled my money here as we're up 103%. Here's the shares I own. For each position, here's the market value. Here's my cost basis. Here's my gain or loss. And that also factors in the dividends. And here, again, the percentage. Anything above 25% will be in green. Anything below will be in white. Here is the quarterly dividend paid. And I have a couple monthly payers, and they'll be in the blue, which are O and BST. And then SCHD, they pay a variable dividend, so I've noted that in purple. And then we can see the current yield. And then here's the yield on my cost. Since I've essentially doubled my money with Costco, I've doubled my yield percentage with the money that I've invested. So I'm essentially getting 1% yield because the share price has doubled. We'll scroll to the right. Hopefully you guys can read this a little better. I've put it at 100% so you can kind of read it better, but I'll have to do some scrolling. So hopefully that's not a problem. And then here's the pay date, and I have everything arranged by pay date. And just note that, it doesn't stop. When Costco paid their dividend on August 10th, that doesn't mean they're done paying me. In 3 months from now, they're going to pay me a new dividend. Coming up pretty soon, they're going to announce a new dividend. I'll put the new dividend date. It's going to be approximately November 10th, and then I'll reshuffle the deck, so to speak, and then it's just going to pay me again. It's constant. It's like going around the Monopoly board and hitting every space and getting rent from each of these, which is nice because I always liked it when I played Monopoly and people landed on my properties, especially with a hotel. You could maybe consider the larger ones like SCHD as well as BST as kind of being those hotels, so to speak, in this Monopoly board. So here's the pay dates, and like I said, everything is arranged by that. And we can see here's the October dividends received so far from Allstate down to NVIDIA. That was the last one that had paid me, and Merck is going to pay me a dividend tomorrow. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning. I believe it'll be 9:51. And once I receive it, I'll put it in there. I'll also add in here, I'll put plus 951 to tally up those total dividends. And then we can see here, I've received a total of $39.93 so far in October, and we have a lot more to go. And of course, that hotel, again, BST, is going to hit. And then I have the amounts out here too for the 4 positions. Remember where I bought the fractional shares in Amgen, Microsoft, Hershey's, as well as Pepsi. We're going to see those go up. I put the current dividend, which is actually the next dividend. We're going to see that go up with the fractional shares. Again, it's not going to move the needle a whole lot because most of the money was put into Microsoft, and you can see the current yield is at 0.8%. So we're not going to add $1 or anything like that. It's going to be, maybe 20 cents or so. We'll see where it goes, but it's definitely going to be going up. And as well as when we get dividend increases, which I just received from Microsoft, they just recently had a 10% dividend increase in September. So when you think of your dividends, what they are currently, you shouldn't think of those as being static. At least it depends in what you're invested in. If you have companies like Home Depot and Exxon, Yum, And Hershey's, McDonald's, they've been increasing their dividends quite regularly. So we can expect in the future that they will continue to do so. And we can see also, I put in the month and when we can expect a dividend increase. That's usually when they announce the month. So I can look at kind of like in October, A.O. Smith is due for a dividend increase as well as Pinnacle West, Exxon, and Lockheed Martin. I believe they already did theirs. I think they just did one at 5%. And then what else? We'll scroll down. Got some in November. I think, yeah. And then AbbVie is one too. Hopefully they do another 5% dividend increase because if I get that, 10% is $4, and then half that 5% would be additional $2 for my next dividend, which would be quite nice. So what we're going to do next is we're going to, well, before we do that, we'll just look at the, this is the, when you add up all the dividends, all the quarterly payers, and then adding in the monthly payers twice, this is what I can expect for dividends in the quarter. I divided by 3 to get the monthly average. We're going to see this change and go up ever so slightly because, again, Microsoft is where we bought most of the fractional shares. We're also going to see the quarterly and annual go up as well. We can see here, here's the current market value. So I don't have to log into M1 to really check how my portfolio is doing because everything here is live. Here's my cost basis. Here's my gain or loss with this portfolio. Here's the current yield of the portfolio if I buy more shares on average. And here is the current average yield on cost of the portfolio. I know some people are critical and say, well, why don't you just buy an index fund, VTI, VU? I own plenty of that. I will show you in just a little bit in my total net worth tab. And another reason is that I like to follow this stuff. It's a hobby for me. And also this yield that I'm getting far exceeds what other S&P 500 total stock market indexes what they're paying. They're paying about 1.5%. This is well over double that. And also SCHD does not capture all the companies that I want to invest in. They don't do REITs. And they recently dropped Broadcom, which is a company that I believe in. So there's some positions that it leaves out. Well, you could argue, well, it's in the total stock market index, but I want even more of it. So, and as they say, personal finances are very personal. So I would never tell you guys what to do. So all I'm doing is I'm showing you what I'm doing, and it seems to be working pretty well. So I just want to inspire you guys. But again, I'm not telling you what to do or giving any advice. So let's go on over to M1. We're going to grab some data over there because remember we had these 4 buys. So we'll go to the holdings tab and you can see there are 52 different positions in this portfolio with SCHD being the largest at now over $100,000 of the portfolio. I'm going to grab everything starting from the name column and go down. And what this is going to do, it's going to grab the data for all the stocks, even though just the 4 buys, we're going to have a change in the number of shares, the average price, and cost basis. Go over here to my sheet again, M1 data tab. You can see the shares, cost basis, and average share price it's going to align these. Of course, SCHD, it's not going to change because I didn't buy any fractionals of SCHD. I'm going to do a pay special. Values only, we'll see it update. Looks like it happened so quickly. Usually it has a little bar over here. It shows you how far along it is, but we can see it did make the update. We added 12 cents to the monthly cash flow average. But let's go up here. We'll look at the new dividends for the 4 positions. And so Amgen, the next time it pays 3 months later will be approximately December 7th. It's going to be 1386 rather than the 1381. And then Microsoft, we're going to go from 639 to 653. That'll be approximately December 13th. And then Hershey's getting closer to that $10 mark, and it'll put it in the green. From 942 to 956, also pay me in December. I believe Pepsi is the last one. Yep. So Pepsi, we added 4 cents, going from 15.85 to 15.89. And we're going to carry over this new monthly cash flow average from 992.88 to 993. I'm going to scroll all the way down. What I do is I keep a ledger of any deposits, any sells, any buys, drips, dividend increases, like you can see ADP, FNF. I list all those out here in a ledger, and this really tracks the progress of the portfolio from a cash flow standpoint. I think it's kind of important to show that. So we're going to make a new line here. We'll grab the previous value, the 992.88, make it an even 993. We added a whole 12 cents to dividend income going forward. That doesn't sound like much. It isn't much, but $100 does make a difference. And this 12 cents is not. It's going to be 12 cents every month going forward, and also, this compounds over time too. These fractional shares will compound, and also the income will compound as well. But you can see every day almost, or sometimes multiple times in a day, I have these events that happen with dividend increases or drips, and some of them add up more than others. You can see just one of these lines was 624, and then some are just pennies, but and some are in between, and some will lower it. And I think SCHD right now is really the only thing that's going to lower it, at least in the foreseeable future. But I think this is going to go up in Q4. I know I keep saying this, I sound like a broken record, but I just want to explain this to people who are new to this. So let's go ahead and close this out, and we'll take a look at my net worth. Again, this portfolio, this is about 15% of my total net worth. Here's the rest. And like I said before, I have a nice backstop of VTI right here, almost $250,000 right there in VTI and IRA. Also diversified in international as well. Have a small Roth brokerage account. Here's a taxable account with VTSAX, which is just a mutual fund version of VTI. If you're going to purchase new shares, I would start with VTI over VTSAX, and then some more VYM, some more VXUS. You can see these are all index ETFs here with a total value of $462,000. And then here's my current employer, 401k, very close to the $100,000 mark, and that's an S&P 500. And then over in M1, I have another IRA. And this is pretty much my employment years from 1996 to about 2019. And that value is at $684,000. And then here is my dividend portfolio, which I go over in detail, the 267. And then over at M1, I have savings. This is about a 1-year emergency fund. And then this is about a 6 months emergency fund over at Synchrony. And then this is like 2 months of more immediate cash over at Capital One. Here is the value of my home. And then here's the current balance on my credit card, which I pay in full every month, and I do not accrue interest. That doesn't mean, though, in the past that I didn't. I used to be in credit card debt, a little bit of student loan debt, but paid that off a long, long time ago. And my only debt really is right here in this mortgage that I'd like to see go away. Here's my current net worth at 1.742 mil. And then here's the breakdown. Very heavily invested in stocks, a little bit of home equity, and some cash. And here, how it's broken down to pre-tax, after-tax. You could say I'm a 401k millionaire. That's adding 401k with IRAs. And then here is my after-tax. I call it freedom because I really can't do anything with this. I know there's ways of withdrawing this. There are several, methods to do so, but I don't want to touch that. But this is what I have access to because I'm not 59 and a half years old. I have some time left. So here's how it's broken down: U.S. international, very heavily into U.S. So that's all I had to show you for this video. Thanks for sticking to the end of the video. If you got value from the video, please click the like button. Also subscribe so you do not miss future videos. Let me know in the comments below what you think of these 4 picks. Also let me